Hello viewers, welcome to our channel. Before we start with today's video, I just want to make one thing clear that if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do subscribe. And if you are willing to watch other poems of Agha Shahid Ali, go to our channel and you will find the related videos there like Postcard from Kashmir and Dhaka Ghazs. Now without much ado, let's get started. I See Kashmir from New Delhi at Midnight, a poem by Agha Shahid Ali. This poem starts with W.B. Yeats's quote, "Now and in time to be, wherever green is worn, a terrible beauty is born. One must wear jeweled eyes in dry plains to will the distant mountains to glass. The city from where no news can come is now so visible in its curfewed nights that the worst is precise. From Zero Bridge, a shadow chased by searchlights is running away to find its body. On the edge of cantonment where Gupkar Road ends, it shrinks almost into nothing, is nothing by interrogation gates, so it can slip unseen into the cells. Drippings from a suspended burning tire or falling on the back of a prisoner. The naked boy screaming, 'I know nothing.' The shadow slips out, beckons, 'Console me.' And somehow there across 500 miles, I am sheened in moonlight in emptied Srinagar, but without any assurance for him on Residency Road by Mir Pan House. Unheard we speak. I know those words by heart, you once said them by chance. In autumn, when the winds blows sheer ice, the chinar leaves fall in cluster, one by one otherwise. 'Rizwan, it's you? Rizwan, it's you?' I cry out as he steps closer, the sleeves of his ferran torn. 'Each night put Kashmir in your dreams,' he says. Then touches me, his hands crusted with snow, whispers, 'I have been cold a long, long time.' 'Don't tell my father I have died,' he says, and I follow him through blood on the road, and hundreds of pairs of shoes the mourners left behind as they ran from the funeral, victims of the firing. From windows we hear grieving mothers, and snow begins to fall on us like ash, black on edges of flames. It cannot extinguish the neighborhoods, the homes set ablaze by midnight soldiers. Kashmir is burning. By the dazzling light, we see men removing statues from temples. We beg them, 'Who will protect us if you leave?' They don't answer, they just disappear on the roads to the plains, clutching the gods. 'I won't tell your father you have died, Rizwan. But where has your shadow fallen, like cloth on the tomb of which saint, or the body of which unburied boy in the mountains, bullet torn, like you, his blood sheer rubies on Himalayan snow?' I have tied a knot with green thread at Shah Hamdan, to be untied only when the atrocities are stunned by your jeweled return. But no news escapes the curfew, nothing of your shadow. And I am back 500 miles, taking off my eyes The mountains granite again I see, men coming from those abodes of snow, with gods asleep like children in their arms, for Molvi Abdul Hai. Now let us talk about the summary of this poem. First of all, this poem is an fine example of Indian diasporic literature. I See Kashmir is a fine example of Indian diasporic literature. Diaspora is defined as a group of people who come from a particular nation but now live in other parts of the world. Their migration is either forced or voluntary. They largely write on their homeland, dislocation, displacement, a feeling of loss, nostalgia, alienation, etc. Major writers include Agha Shahid Ali, Salman Rushdie, who is famous for his Midnight Children, V.S. Naipaul, Anita Desai, Bharti Mukherjee, Amitav Ghosh, etc. Now, this poem has been divided by Agha Shahid Ali in 4 sections. Section 1, The Barriers. It mainly tells us about the barriers. The poem consists of 60 lines and 4 sections. The narrator is in Delhi, but he gives us the account of the experiences of Kashmir, where he grew up. This poem paints the situation of this disputed territory called Kashmir, which is more than 500 kilometers away from Delhi. He tries to break the barriers in the first section. He wants to expose the real beauty of Kashmir. The mountains are beautiful, but they represent the geographical barrier. The voice of the suffering people cannot go beyond those mountains. Also, there is the barrier of power and politics. There is a curfew in Kashmir, as mentioned in the poem, which makes movement from one place to another impossible. The military and the police chase young men and put them in custody where they face brutal torture. A naked boy is brutally tortured. The poet tells the implications of this war being waged there. Section 2 is called as Meeting the Shadow. The speaker recognized the dead person as his childhood friend Rizwan. That shadow has turned into something recognizable. Emptied Srinagar refers to his sense of alienation and isolation. He is reminded of his childhood memories when he used to go to Mir Pan house along with his friend. The poet is aghast to see that his friend has been brutally killed and that the sleeves of his farran is a kind of garment worn by Kashmiri people in winter are badly torn. It's like he's in conversation with the dead body. Rizwan tells the narrator that he has been dead a long, long ago. Section 3 tells us about the conditions of Kashmir. It tells the narrator not to tell his father about his death. He is here Rizwan, which will be unbearable for him. The poet follows the funeral with other people to the graveyard. But even the funeral procession wasn't spared by the men in arms. On that snowy day, the soldiers fired on the funeral procession. The mothers were wailing from windows of their houses. The snow appeared like ash because Kashmir was on fire. Snowing would have no effect on the houses set ablaze by the soldiers. Pandits were removing gods from temples in an attempt to save them from angry mob. It refers to the exodus of Pandits from Kashmir in 1990s. Section 4 tells us about the conversation. It moves from conversation to meditation. This section is a prayer and a promise at the same time. The narrator promises response that he wouldn't tell about his death to his father. The speaker also realizes that his hopelessness and helplessness of being in Delhi. The mountains are still granite. He cannot see through them. His only mission was that people must return from the snowy mountains with gods asleep in their arms like children. Shah Hamdan is mentioned in the poem. Shah Hamdan refers to the shrine of Shah Hamdan rahmatullahi alayh, located in Srinagar, popularly known as Khankai Mualla. The narrator wants to tie a knot here in this shrine, which is an act of believing that your wishes will be granted. He wished for the end of the atrocities and the tyranny faced by the people of Kashmir, and the return of the people from the abodes of snow, with gods asleep like children in their arms. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more updates.